wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu ala rasulullah. How's everyone feeling?
Alhamdulillah.
This is the beginning of the last 10 nights of Ramadan. The last 10 nights of Ramadan are just like the rest of your life. How so?
They affect the rest of your...
Okay, that's good. I didn't think of that, but yes. What else? The last 10 nights of Ramadan are just like the rest of your life. How so? Think.
You have ambitions for them.
You set goals?
Yeah.
Okay. Those are both good answers. What else?
Isn't like for the rest of the year, everything is destined for the end of the
Correct. But I was thinking of something else. Those are all correct answers, but I'm thinking of something else. How is the last 10 nights the same thing as the rest of your life? You gonna get it, Faris? I know he's I can tell from his face he's not gonna let it go.
That's just my advice.
Come on, guys. It's not complex. It's not like a trick question. Just think about it. I have to go to the angle. That's okay. That's fine. There we go. The last 10 nights are like the rest of your life. How so? Number of ways. You're not guaranteed another day. So it's the beginning of the last 10, but you're not guaranteed to live through the whole thing. Let's say you do live through these next 10. You're not guaranteed to make it to next Ramadan. If you make it to next Ramadan, know that at some point, there's going to be your last Ramadan. Chances are you're not going to live through 100 more. Just like the rest of your life, you're not guaranteed another day. In the Muslim community of Omaha, which is not a huge city, it's like 1 million people and 10,000 Muslims, not a huge community. There's a 19-year-old Muslim kid that's buried in the cemetery, the Muslim side of our cemetery. And that's probably around you guys' age. You guys are probably like 18 to 22, most of you, almost all of you. 19-year-old. He goes to his freshman year to college. It's UNO, not too different from East Carolina University, ECO. And he goes and doesn't come back. There's a 15-year-old that's buried in the Muslim community in Houston, a lot bigger Muslim community, but we all went to the graveyard, like thousands of people. I'd never been to a graveyard before where I could barely see the ground. It was like thousands of people, we filled it up. He actually led Taraweeh and Fajr prayer, which I'm 29, he was 15, I'm double his age, 15. And I'm a full-time imam of the masjid. I still don't lead Taraweeh, I have someone else doing it. I take care of the kids, I do other things. My Quran is not on point like that, right? He led Taraweeh and Fajr prayer in one of the major masjids in Houston, so probably hundreds or 1,000 people prayed behind him for a whole Ramadan. Then a few weeks later, it's a few summers ago, when Ramadan was in the summer, and he got hit by a car a couple weeks after Ramadan, and the whole city was like, no one expected that. We're still watching, we have his like recordings of his Quran from that Taraweeh, him recording, you know? And he's Nigerian, he's not Arab, so to recite Quran that beautifully, it's even more impressive if he's not Arab. Those recordings were shared on the city, and then like he gets hit by a car. I'm not trying to bring you down, like, you know, make you depressed or, you know, think that like, what's the point? That's not the point of it, but like, you might or might not make it to Eid, and if you do, you might not make it to next Ramadan. Statistically, someone's going to pass away by then, and if you do, you're not going to live till like 100 Ramadans. So at some point, some Ramadan or some day of the last 10 will be your last time. Right? So that's the first point. The number of other things. I want to talk about, if I ask you, and I won't ask you because this is an easy one, if I ask you like, what's the purpose of the last 10 or what should we be doing, you would say ibadah, right? You'd say more, definitely fasting if you can. You're going to say more prayers than you usually do, more charity than you usually do, more qiyam, more dua, more Quran, and that's all correct. But I want to zoom out and talk about something related, but Allah says in the Quran that He did not create us except to worship Him, and you all know the ayah, right? وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Okay, I noticed this, and alhamdulillah, Allah blessed me to travel a good amount around the country and around the world, right? I noticed that almost everywhere I go for the Muslim community, we're a fourth of the world population. We're like the biggest number of people on the planet. But it's always been about quality over quantity. That's something that I know that it bothers me, that a lot of people struggle with. What does it mean that Allah created us to worship Him? What does that mean Allah created us to worship Him? He says, I didn't create you for any other reason to worship me, but what does that mean? I really do believe that if we understood that properly, it would change the whole game. All the issues we struggle with in the US and around the world, all the things that bother us, they're really in our control. We're a fourth of the world population. But what does that mean that says Allah created us for no reason but to worship Him? Let me give you a hint. Like, does it mean we're supposed to be praying all day? Does it mean that our days should be like praying, like fasting during the day, praying all night? That's that what He means? I created you for no reason besides to worship me. What does that mean? Stay connected to Allah. Okay. What does that mean though? Like more practically. It's not wrong, of course. Worshiping Allah, staying connected to Allah, but what does that mean? So no one answered my question. Does it mean that we should fast all day and pray all night?
No.
Those aren't bad things to do.
It's not,
But that's when Allah says I didn't create you for any reason to worship me. Did He mean that? He didn't. Okay, so you're right. But add on, explain. So what does it mean? Allah's saying I did not create you for any other reason. Like another way of saying is He's saying you shouldn't be spending your time doing anything else besides worship me. But so you should be praying all day. Just go to the masjid and just spend from Fajr to Isha, pray like all throughout the day. So what does it mean? I know you guys know that that's not correct, and I know none of us is doing that. But I really think if we understand this concept well, it will change your life. What does that mean?
Allah should be at the center of everything
Okay,
that we
so
do.
add on to that. That's great. That's a great way of putting it. That's kind of similar to what she said. That's correct, but add on to it. What does that mean? Oh, baby, can you guys hear? I don't know if you guys could you see Allah? Could you guys hear her? I don't know if you guys heard her. She said staying connected to Allah. So she said not necessarily just praying fasting, but staying connected. And she said putting Allah in the set, like being God-centric in everything you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay, but that's like those are really nice words and that's like abstract, but more concrete and more practical. What does that mean? It's correct, but what does that mean?
Like
So does it mean praying all day and fasting all night? Yes or no? Or
No.
fasting all day? No. Okay, then
Remember,
it's like
loud so they can all hear you.
Everything you do, like your career, like
Okay.
your family,
Getting closer. Yeah. This is good.
is all for the sake of Allah.
Okay. Add on to it. I want more detail, like zoom in and expound on that. But that's correct.
remember
And
Allah
when
in
you're not praying
everything.
and fasting, which is the most of the time, like if you add up our prayers are like 2 to 5 minutes a day, 2 to 5 minutes per prayer, 5 minutes times 5 prayers. If you're doing all your prayers, 25, 30 minutes a day. It's a small fraction of the day. But she's saying everything you do is God-centric. It's connected to okay, but what does that mean? That sounds nice, but what does that really mean? Examples. How about examples? Practical examples. Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point we're trying to make. Exactly 100%. But expand on that. What does that mean? You guys are all right, but like, how about a practical example? Can I see? How about this? Was it you? Who was it? It was you. So like, let's say me and him are both engineering majors. Let's say we both go to ECU, and we're the same age and from the same background, and parents are from the same country, and we look the same height, everything. Okay, but I'm God-centric, connecting to Allah, and he's not. How's it like? Can you see it or not really? How would you see it?
Like
Our grades,
No, like your
the major we pick.
The way that you
gotta be
carry
loud.
yourself.
You gotta be loud so they can all hear
It's
you.
hard because like
Loud.
it's your intention,
Okay, which we can't see.
but you can't see that. so-
But does it have an actual real impact on our lives? It's just like
It
we turn
does.
we turn ibadah. I think you guys can get to the point is that and I'll let you speak. But intention and ibadah, these words we've turned them into just abstract, just like terms. We might know the definitions. It doesn't really change us necessarily. I'm not judging everyone, but like we're all trying to get better. But go ahead. How does it
like,
actually change
your
you?
Intention, like when you have the niyyah to put everything for Allah,
Okay.
everything comes back in return. Like you're
Give me a
rewarded.
practical. You guys are all right. Everything you guys are saying is good, but like give me a practical example.
Your
So
actions and interactions with people.
yeah, so excellent. Give me a practical example.
So
Though.
like when you're talking to somebody, I'm going to be husband.
Okay. Well, not everyone knows Arabic. Not everyone knows Arabic. Translate that.
When you're speaking to somebody, you're talking about you
Okay.
show them your ethics, and that's one action.
So what you're saying is when Allah says Allah created you for no reason but to worship me, it's your 5, 10, 15 minutes or whatever of prayer and charity and dhikr and dua, like those personal ibadahs. But in every interaction with the person, it also, yeah, 100%. Examples, go ahead. Examples.
For example,
Have you guys not met non-Muslims on this campus that are very polite and respectful?
Exactly.
There's a girl that I spoke to today on campus. I was asking for directions. 100%. I'm 100%.
respecting other religions is one.
Okay, give me a second. 100%. I'm 100% sure she's not Muslim, right? Or I'm assuming, but most likely she's not Muslim, right? White, probably Christian, Southern. She's probably from here. Her accent. I spoke to her. I was asking for directions, and she called me sir, and she's like, I don't know, 20. Let's say I'm 29. I was like, oh, I'm only 20. Oh, it's like she's like just very polite and respectful. That's like her nature, or that's what maybe her parents taught her. But she's not Muslim. I'm just kind of giving you a hard time. I'm kind of like pushing back. So your interactions with people. So Allah says I created you for no reason but to be polite. Non-Muslims can be polite.
As long as you make things for the sake of Allah, it's
Okay, my question was they already answered about intentions, which is a great point. But I asked, does it have a practical can you see it or no? Like if me and you, we both are studying engineering for different intentions. Can you see it or it looks the same?
that's the life you can't see it.
You can't see the intention, but I'm saying if you really have a good intention, will it show in the actions or not really? Am I losing you guys or is it
I know what you're getting at.
kind of?
but-
Am I making it? I'm not trying to make it tough.
Yeah.
It's a little bit tough. Maybe. I didn't mean to drag it out. I didn't think it was going to take 10 minutes. You guys were all correct. Everything you're saying is right. But okay, this is what I was going to get to. You can see it. It'll be different. The career choices you make and the reason you choose those careers, it will be different than someone who doesn't believe in Allah and doesn't believe that ibadah is our purpose in life and that to have good intentions and God-centric. And it should impact everything. But I thought you were going to take us home, but you're almost there. But you're correct. I thought you were going to go boom, 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 like multiple points. But every interaction with every person you have, your teachers and colleagues and friends and neighbors, it should be 100% related to your purpose in life and that Allah created you to worship Him. It's not just your time in the masjid. I noticed this everywhere around the world that they saw being more religious is now beard and hijab and so on, which are part of the deen, 100%. But they saw it as your personal ibadahs, your personal rituals was the whole pie. It's a pie with different slices. Ibadah. It's like your whole life. But they just focused on and really were only educated on the fact that slice, which is dhikr, dua, Quran, salat. It's a lot of things, and they're not saying they're easy. And they're very important. Prayer, fasting, charity, dua. I don't know if you guys know the Arabic terms, but yeah. Supplicating, remembering God, reading Quran. All of that, they saw like those are all the things I need to do, and that's like religiosity. I'm telling you, it's one slice of the pie. Why? Because your interaction with friends, colleagues, neighbors, etc. is part of it. But there's more. What else? What else? You guys are getting there. what major you choose, as an example, because we're on college campus, but the major you choose and why you choose it, if you haven't thought of it like that, as that is related to you being Muslim, it should be. But also, how you spend your teens and 20s, 100%. And what you do when you're not in class, and how you treat people in the hallway, and who you follow on social media, and what you consume on content. But I know you guys know this. And I can go on and on. If you open up your Spotify, your SoundCloud, etc., what comes up, all of that is related to it. I'm not judging, I'm not saying I'm perfect, and I have nothing on my phone that...
Fearing Allah.
100%. So you're ibadah, and you're worshiping Allah. When Allah says, I created you for no other reason, that sounds crazy if it means like you need to pray all day and fast all night and stuff, but that's not what Allah's saying. Because a lot of us do see it, and maybe some of you, or maybe all of you didn't see it that way. I also don't know you. I get this talk everywhere, or a lot of different places. And I noticed when I went around the world, that the vast majority of Muslims I seem to interact with, when they thought of religiosity, it was only that slice of the pie. So that was like one of the points I wanted to make. Choosing to go into entrepreneurship versus choosing to be an employee, or choosing a certain major over another major, it's not halal and haram, it's not right and wrong, it's not black and white, it's not necessarily morals and ethics, but you choosing to have a relationship with Allah, and maybe you want to be involved in the da'wah table or an MSA and other leadership positions, maybe you want to be involved in a masjid, maybe you want to dedicate more of your weekends and evenings, etc., or more of your time in doing things around the community because you see that Muslims are 1% and there's so much work to be done, or there's issues around the world that really bother you, what's going on in Yemen and Palestine and Kashmir, and I don't have to go down the list, there's a long list. Maybe you see charity works and people that dedicate their lives to charity and serving around the world. Maybe you decide that the major you choose is going to align to that, or you're going to choose to be an entrepreneur and spend you're going to spend your 20s and maybe your 30s sacrificing a lot and risking a lot because no one can guarantee that their business will take off. But you do that knowing that it could have been an easier path of just sitting at a desk at some company making 100K or 200K or being a doctor. Nothing wrong with that. But you chose that, and you choose that because you know that if you could sacrifice in your 20s, it's just an example, right? Something that's been on my mind because it's what I'm trying to do. You sacrifice in your 20s because then in your 30s, and show them you have time and money in your own hands because you're the CEO of a company and it's taken off. Then you can have more time to do da'wah work, youth work, charity work, MSA work, etc., etc. It's one example. But it's going to be personal and custom made in your own lives. Yeah, there's going to be examples of when there's like a fork in the road. And it's not necessarily always halal and haram, but that's obvious. Obviously, if it's halal and haram and you're doing your best to fight against what's haram, because haram is basically short-term pleasure, long-term pain. That's not easy. It's easier to go with short-term, yeah? Doing good and resisting haram is short-term pain, long-term pleasure. But that fork in the road is obvious. I don't have to tell you, stay away from haram. But I'm saying that sometimes they're both halal options. But you having the intention, God-centric, connect to Allah, etc., can have a practical influence on the way you make your decisions, such as choosing your majors. How about this? So I use majors a lot because it's something I've been thinking about for my 20s. I tutor and mentor, help people apply to colleges and all that. It's on my mind all the time. And I myself study different majors, struggled a little bit convincing parents that I want to do something different. I'm not orthodox in my career path. So it's on my mind. But it might not be relevant to you. You might have decided from when you're 10, I'll be a doctor, and nothing Abdullah's going to say is going to convince me not to be. That's a beautiful thing, nothing wrong with that. But how about this? There's some of you, I just have to generalize, I don't know you that well, I have to assume. Some of you find it very, very tough to talk to your parents about anything. Very tough to agree with them on anything. Although you have to remember this, before I continue, no two people in human history ever fully agreed. It's never happened in human history that two people ever fully agreed. I'm going to repeat it again. No two people in human history have ever fully agreed. So that means husband, wife, mother, brother, sister, mother, father, like no matter how close the relationship is, never in human history did two people ever fully agree. So having that as the goal, another crazy goal people have is like, I want everyone to love me. Nobody in human history ever had 100% approval ratings. No leader, celebrity, politician, whatever, religious prophet, nobody in human history ever had 100% people like them. Never happened. There was going to be somebody who would have been someone like Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who he fought multiple battles, of course people are going to hate him like their enemies. Isa Alayhi Salam literally was taking care of the poor and the homeless and the needy. He spent his whole life doing that, and they tried to kill him. And they gave him the death penalty, the Roman Empire. What was he doing? So it's proof for us, and he's like the nicest person ever. No one in human history has ever had 100% approval ratings. It's never going to happen. So those are crazy goals, as in unrealistic, impossible goals. Don't make those your goals. Anyway, that was a tangent, but going back, I thought that was relevant. Maybe you have the parents that are very tough to talk to. You can't talk to them about anything. They never agree with you on anything. They never see from your perspective. They always assume that everything you do that they didn't like or didn't tell you to do is like you did the wrong thing for the wrong reasons. You're not taking things serious. You don't value what they've done for you and all that they sacrificed for you. You don't understand it, and you're thinking like, but these are not halal haram things. These are just like perspective. These are just opinions. These are just cultural, generational, whatever it is, right? They're from Yemen and I'm from South Carolina. I'm North Carolina. They're from Egypt and they're from Pakistan and I'm from. Of course, there's gonna be differences. No two people in human history have ever fully agreed. How about if we're a different age, from different cultures, from different countries, and they grew up with social media and I didn't, vice versa. What else? Majors and parents are usually the most common examples I give. How about you're 20, 22, 24, 25, some of you guys, and you're starting to decide that I want to marry someone, like I like somebody. Islamically, it's okay to like somebody? What do you guys think? You guys aren't in high school anymore. When I talk to the high schoolers, it turns into a 30-minute thing. But I just want to make sure, because if there's one of you that I just want you to know, like sometimes the way your parents raised you up at the Sunday school you went to, or the Islamic school, or whatever it is, or the masjid, you might start like having those feelings that like you feel guilty of the fact that you like someone. Zero problems Islamically for that, but believe it or not, up until like high school, maybe college, and some college students like they don't even come to these events because they kind of unfortunately went down another path, and part of it is them having to fight their desires. Part of it is the education they had on Islam. Islam is way more flexible than a lot of people think, but of course there are rules, and there has to be rules. And the rules are there because Allah loves us. But going back, ooh, this is a good one. I want to take this tangent. Not tangent. It's part of ibadah. You said relationships with other people. Some of the toughest relationships are kids and their parents because it's so close, there's so much love. Therefore, every little thing is painful. Is that accurate? Okay. How about this? Your parents tell you need to marry X person, or you need to choose this major, or you need to get a grade in this class, or you need to accept this job application, whatever it is. Because we told you so, and we're your parents, and you have to obey us because Allah says you have to obey your parents. What's the response to that? What do you guys think of that? I'm so glad both of you guys are recording because my memory ended, and I felt like it would. So I appreciate you guys. Yeah, only one of you, 3 of you are recording, mashallah. I don't deserve that, but okay. So all the people that watch you guys get the good deeds. That's pretty cool. And all the sins I commit in North Carolina, or my bad intention for speaking, anything, you don't get any of that. You get just a good deed. So it's a beautiful thing on our deen. Spreading something good. You don't have to necessarily be the person in front of the camera. If you're behind the camera, in some ways it's even better. Yeah, what was the answer? Who had an answer to that? Or anyone want to comment on this? And you won't be on camera. The videos are pointing at me. You're anonymous. Should I repeat the question, or you guys got it? Your parents say, whatever it was, those are examples that come to my mind, right? Major, career path, parents, marriage, whatever it is. They say, you need to marry this person. I told you so, I'm your parent, and Allah says you have to obey your parents. Ooh, you're stuck. What do you do? And some of you are looking at me like, Abdullah said, I already years ago, I already figured that out. Yeah, but there could be one person that's really struggling with that. I know for a fact that a lot of people in America are struggling with that. A lot of the Muslims. This might be one of the biggest issues, statistically. So it's probably going to be at least a few of you. Go ahead. You want to say something?
To a certain extent.
Explain.
I mean,
Well,
also,
I need
I would
details.
say
We're all
no
adults.
and then make tawbah to Allah that I said no.
I think
You're being 100% right now, right?
Yeah.
I love this guy. He's a good guy. You don't have to make tawbah. You didn't commit a sin.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to say no though. Because borderline sinful. Because depends. Because like how you always tell me that's sinful, major sin. Anything less. Would you want to add something before I was going to give the answer? No, you're doing good. Anyone else? Okay. Before I give my answer, I need to get a chance to listen to others. Sorry. Go on. We'll come to you in a second. Yeah. You gotta be loud, bro. We can't just win this car. You gotta be loud.
That's not a thing to where to an extent you're supposed to be.
You gotta be louder, bro. You gotta be louder.
Independent of your parents. And
You're
not-
supposed to be independent of your parents. Okay.
To an extent, like you're supposed to take their opinions.
Okay.
But if you're like basically 80% of the time you're relying on your mother,
You gotta be louder, bro. You gotta be louder, bro. You gotta be louder.
I'm saying if you're probably like around 80% of the time relying on your mom,
Okay.
you probably shouldn't be getting married at that point.
It's a fair point. Okay, not exactly what I'm talking about, but I guess it's a related point. But that's fair. Yeah, I think especially for the man, for women, like really, men and women are different. Not politically correct, but the man is still dependent on his parents. That's proof that you're not ready for marriage. The woman is like still with her parents until she gets married. It's not the worst thing, but fine, yeah. Well, okay. What else? Anyone else? Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say with marriage, wouldn't it be?
You gotta be louder though. They can't hear you. Louder.
With
It's embarrassing. The topic is embarrassing, guys. Anyone here under 18? Besides Luda. We're all adults, guys. If we don't have these talks, where are you gonna have these talks? At the masjids that you guys go to, you guys are having these talks? It's rhetorical. I already know the answer. If yes, and I believe it. It's not like there's 3,000 masjids though. There's like a handful of them, but the majority, most likely not. And remember, I don't know your masjid. I come to a community. I don't know. I have to make some assumptions. I generalize about America, but you have to, But most likely, most of you didn't grow up in a Sunday school that was like they talked about like marriage and relationships and so on. Or they just said it's haram, but like that doesn't really help you. It's important, but it's not enough. Because a lot of kids, the vast majority of kids. Well, sorry, you go for. I'll come afterwards. Yeah, I apologize. Yeah. That's a bad habit. Go ahead.
okay, I was just gonna say for marriage, doesn't it like there has to be qabul for it to be halal? So you have to be like you have to be.
Not everyone here is Arab though.
Oh, you acceptance.
Okay.
Qabul? Yeah. So you have to be like you have to say yes to the marriage for it to be halal.
You're saying the daughter can't
In
be
the
forced
eyes of
into it.
Allah.
The daughter. You're saying the daughter. Your point is that daughter
like
can't be
if
forced into it.
You can't
100%.
force them. It won't be halal.
It's true. It's 100% true. And the guy can't be forced either. But usually throughout history, like it's more common for the girl to be forced. I agree. But zooming out a little bit, I was using marriage as an example, or major, or whatever, because I wanted to see whatever examples are relevant to you guys. But the bigger question was, it's true. But what do you do when your parents say you have to obey me? So that marriage wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't a, yes, I mean, what you're saying is correct, but I'm saying the bigger question of, a lot of people are struggling with the fact that they're like, my parents said, Allah's upset with me, and he kind of, he proved the point that this is irrelevant. Your parents made you feel that you have to obey them or else you're basically, it's your problem with your relationship with Allah, like it's sinful, it's a major sin. And marriage was just one example. What do you do when like you don't agree with your parents, but they're telling you that you have to obey them?
It's not something that's kind of.
Maybe loud, they can't hear you.
If they commit
But one second, it's her first, but loud, so they can hear you.
I'm sorry, I worked my head.
Go ahead.
But if it's not something that's like haram, you can talk to them. You can be like, I'm not doing anything haram.
You're allowed to have a different view?
No?
Astaghfirullah. In some cultures, you're not to have a different view. That's true.
Yeah, I know we can have it.
In a lot of the cultures, I'm looking around the room. I'm assuming what countries you're from. A lot of our cultures, if someone older than you or your parents, you have a different view than them, and you articulate that, that's automatically you're a troublemaker, you're wrong, and you're disrespectful. Islamically, it's not wrong,
You just have to be respectful.
Yes, you have to respect your parents. You have
But
to keep it in the bounds
but
of-
you can disagree, but the only thing is to never disrespect your parents. So you can agree or disagree, but respectfully, and that's not.
This topic, you want me to go into a bit more detail? This is good. Like, you guys agree this is important?
Yeah.
So they all come 100%. I want to take it even one level deeper because I've been studying this for a while. But first, I want to hear from you. Go ahead.
You don't have to obey them if they command you to do something.
100%. You gotta be louder though.
You don't have to obey them if they command you to do something haram.
Okay. If they want to do something, and then the classic example is what? If they ask you to bow down to idols, because the companions, that was a real life example for them. Here's the thing. It's a great point that you mentioned this. A lot of people, and I understand it, but at a certain age I was like, this doesn't make sense. I wasn't adding up until a scholar explained it, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna share it with you guys. A lot of people take that ayah to say, unless they're telling you to worship other than Allah or something haram, but worship other than Allah is a bigger example, but even haram, fine. That's being flexible. Some of them, they literally just take it like literal, not just literal, they're misinterpreting it. Unless your parents are telling you to worship idols or commit shirk, you have to obey them in everything else. Does the ayah say that? The ayah says when they tell you to worship other than Allah, you definitely don't do that, but you still be polite and respectful to them. The point wasn't even about worshiping Allah, but besides Allah, but definitely saying Allah, definitely don't do that. The companions do that, obviously. But he's saying you still have to be polite and respectful for them. So the point is that respect, like they said, never goes away no matter what they're telling you to do or how much you disagree. But taking that to say that the only time you can disobey them is when they're telling you to worship Allah or something haram is not correct. The ayah doesn't say that. It's not logically, it doesn't logically follow. It's not correct. I'll give you examples. But anyone else want to comment or should I go into it? Okay, this is good, yeah? You guys are on? This is good? Yeah, go ahead.
Go to the chef
You gotta be louder, bro. You gotta be louder. It's good practice for you guys.
for a third opinion.
You said you could go to the
Go to our
sheikh
chef for a third opinion and then take his opinion if you like it better and so on. I guess so. Let me tell you, you have something to say before
I do the silent treatment if it's something, because I don't want to do the haram.
He's just being. He's just
I mean,
being,
not
he's,
me,
he's
but
keeping,
I would if I.
He's being. I mean, I don't know about laughing. He's keeping it 100%. He's saying that he has troubles with his and he's like, you'll stay quiet because you don't want to get the sins.
Oh, not me. I'm not quiet. I will talk back. But I mean, in general.
Don't confess your sins. That's a sin.
I mean, but in general, people
we
the
always
silent
argue.
treatment.
Our parents taught us how to speak, and then we all yell and argue with them. Listen to this. Try to start. Okay. Anything less than the highest form. There's a number of points basically I have to make on this point. Anything less than the highest form of good treatment to them, unless you're 100% in how you treat them. Not about agreeing, disagreeing. How you treat them, like bringing them food on a tray and smiling and the way you raise your voice. Anything less than 100% good treatment to them is a sin or not a sin? It's a major sin. Anything less, if you're 99% good treatment to them, it's a major sin. Ouch, you guys don't want to hear that, right? Today you're in college, you're like, you don't know what I've been through for years with my parents, that's not what I wanted to hear. I thought you were gonna come help us out. We gotta balance it out. That's that part, and there's another part that you guys will think of as good news, but anything less than 100% good treatment with them is a major sin, not a minor sin. If you're 99% good treatment with them, it's a major sin. Okay? And that's what all the ayahs are. All the ayahs are hadith about how good you have to be to the parents. Use the term bir. Bir means good, but in Arabic Arabic is way more advanced than English. There's like 10 words for good. Bir is the highest form of good. Anything less than the highest form of good is like after shirk, is a major sin. Okay, so I know it's rough. We gotta think about all the times we've been committing major sins. Yes, we have, by arguing with them and raising the voice and being rude and saying, I don't want to do engineering, I want to do medicine. Yeah, you don't have to do that. But on the other side, no ayah or hadith ever says you have to obey them. Hold up, what? Give me an ayah or hadith that says you have to obey your parents. I know some of you guys are thinking like, yo, Abdullah, this is too confusing, huh? Too many different points at once, and I talk too fast too, huh? Makes it extra interesting. Have you guys heard this from anyone else? I love my job. Give me an ayah or hadith that says you have to obey them. So there's that ayah that said what? If they tell you to worship idols, you don't obey them and be still good to. Give me an ayah or hadith that says you have to obey your parents. There is no. But wait, well, how about old ayahs? Huh? That says you have to obey them?
Yeah, but
Bro, I'm saying literal right now. I'm saying give me an ayah that says you have to obey them. He said the ayah says if you say even uff to them, like even like gosh or like I don't want to, that's a major sin. But I just said that. I said anything less than the highest form of good treatment, how you treat them, how you talk to them, how you serve them, how you look at them, how you smile. Anything less than 100%, we already said that point. Give me a point now that says you have to obey them. Okay, so we're getting closer. You guys are with me, yeah? Bir, who's good at Arabic here? Who like knows the Arabic on point? Okay, so well you're raising your hand now. You're in trouble, yeah? Bir, hub, ta'a. Translate.
What?
Bir, hub. I kind of already gave
Obey?
one. Bir.
Love?
You're just throwing out random words. Bir, hub, ta'a. He's like impact, legacy. Bir, hub, ta'a. I need good definitions because the whole point, like the wording, and this sometimes like a lot of times people get stuck on words. It doesn't matter, but in this case, words are concepts. This matters. This is important. And guys, I appreciate you guys being patient, but we're gonna get to it. It's gonna get good. Bir hub ta'a. But I kind of already said it. Bir means good, but it's like the highest form of good, because in Arabic there's different words for good. The highest form of good, bir. Hub, it's easy. You guys don't know hub. You guys know it's been on like hoodies for a while now. In America, the Muslim community it's like a brand or something. Hub with like, hub, love. You guys said that? Ta'a, obey. Okay, check this out. Which of them is Allah saying you have to? Which of them does he use? No ayah hadith says ta'a or hub. No, there's no ayah hadith that says you have to love your parents. You know why? Because it's natural. You're gonna love them. But how about the extreme case where they're abusive? It happens. They're abusive. Intentionally, unintentionally is not the point. They went through trauma, they went through war, they're Palestinian, they're Afghani from and they're living in camp, and then they abuse you because every time you come home and your grades are good. It doesn't matter the why. It's not the point right now. We're not talking about mental health or so cute, mashallah. We're not talking about mental health or any of that stuff. Let's put that aside. But in the extreme case, I just want you to know, because it could be one of you, maybe. Your parents are very abusive and you kind of have it in their heart, like you kind of have a dislike or hatred for them. But you hate that, but you kind of have that. It's natural. You're not responsible for that. There's no sins in that. You can all leave that. Cool? Just a point. Okay, let's leave that. The point is, I think you guys get the point. The ayahs and hadith are all talking about the highest form of good treatment, but not talking about obedience. There's a reason for that. If you're constantly disobeying them, can you still say that you're good to them in the highest form of good? It's unlikely. Every time they tell you go left, you go right. You're not a good kid. Let's agree. But Allah never requires, it doesn't say you have to obey them, because absolute obedience is only for Allah and His Messenger. Absolute obedience. We don't even ask. If Allah says 5 prayers and you say, well, how come 5? Maybe if you ask it once in your life and you're like wondering, and you ask a scholar because you want to know if there's a reason, then you find out there's not really, I guess this is the story, 50, there's not really a reason why it's 5. It could have been 4 or 6. It's just blindly obey. And there's some cases like that in our religion. And then you decide, okay, fine, and then you do them. But if you're the kind of person who's going to constantly be like, well, why 5, why not 4? And then you kind of like do that, then you have a problem, right? But for Allah's Messenger, it's logical and it makes sense to blindly obey, and it's illogical not to. But for anybody else, including parents onwards, because parents come after the Prophet, anyone else, if you're blindly obeying, it doesn't make any sense, because they're human beings. And even if they love you and care about you, and your parents obviously do, no doubt that the way they give you advice, they're well-intentioned. They can give you correct advice sometimes and incorrect advice sometimes, because they're human and they're at fault. They're not perfect. They don't know everything about you, and they don't always know the best way to maneuver. So it's okay if, I'll give you an example. Let's say you're a business major at ECU, although people would argue the best way to learn business isn't to study it, but it's to do it. I don't know if you guys heard of Gary Vee and all that, but I believe that. Like sometimes, university is a business. I know that's another tangent for another day. But if you guys have a Q&A, if you guys want to talk about that, we can do that. You're studying business, or you know business, or you're practicing it, or whatever. You're an investor. You made money from you have a number of streams of income. You're making money. You're choosing where to put your money. You're in the game. You're doing it. Your dad's an engineer and mom's a doctor. They don't really know much about business per se, or investments, or real estate, whatever it is. You know that stuff. And your dad looks at like some of the you're looking at multiple portfolios, you're considering different properties for real estate, and you're like ABC, and you're thinking like, yo, parents, I'm gonna invest here. Dad's like, no, you should invest here. Like, oh man, I have to obey my parents. Allah said so. You put your money there, you lose your money. Obvious, right? Now it's clear. You don't have to do that. You'd be like, Dad, I love you. You came here from, where are you guys from? Egypt, Pakistan. You came here from Pakistan, you sacrificed everything for me. You taught me everything I know. Dad, I would never disobey you. You're the best dad I've ever was. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for me. And you put your money in A. That make sense? That's the balance. Yeah, that makes sense? It's just an example. Some of you are thinking I have nothing to do with real estate. Can you apply that to other example? Yeah? You do what, if you are knowledgeable in that topic, if it's something that's subjective, that's like objective. Like you study the math and the numbers and the math of where you want to put your money. Let's say something that's just opinion based, like who to marry, the 2-3 good options. The guys are all good. They all memorize the whole Quran, they're all doctors. And your parents just like this guy better because he's from Karachi and you're from Karachi, or he's from Lahore and you're from Lahore. It's like subjective, right? Your parents like him for whatever reason. He's light skinned and you actually prefer dark skins, whatever. And you like that person better. You tell your parents, everything you've done for me, I can't thank you enough, you're the best, I love you, I would never disobey. But yes, you can marry the person you want to marry, right? So, the balance is, but if you raise your voice and say, what do you mean put my money in that part? Like, I've done my research, then you're a doctor, what do you know? That's a major sin. Cool. Was that too much on this topic, or was that useful? Because I know some of you are struggling with your parents. Am I wrong? Too much? TMI? That's the balance, the good treatment versus obeying them. You're allowed to disobey them. If you're constantly disobeying them for the sake of disobeying, if you're rebellious without a cause, it's very common in white culture, with all due respect, of like just for the sake of saying no, for the sake of talking back. If you're like that, then know that you're not falling into that. You're doing those major sins. But if you're trying your best to obey them every time you can, but at times you disagree with them, and when you do, you're politely agree to disagree, it's allowed. And what happens if they yell and scream at you and they shame you for that and they tell you you're going to hell and etc. because they react in a very aggressive manner? You politely, that's your test. You politely, respectfully smile and say only good words, or you remove yourself, or you maybe have to leave and go to campus and sleep at your friend's couch, or whatever it is you have to do to kind of give it. You're allowed to do that Islamically, it's a last resort, but you make sure you don't say anything rude, but you continue to do your thing if that's what you have to do. Was that worth the tangent? It's not even a tangent, because the topic was ibadah. So last 10 nights, we're going to pray more, inshallah, we're going to fast more, obviously, we're going to give more charity if we can, although as a college students, it's not really your priority. Your priority is to maybe, your even nights, let's get practical, your even nights, maybe you need to sleep and do your homework. On the odd nights, try to pray a little bit more than you've done throughout the year, and read more Quran and make dua. And here's something on dua. A lot of people think of when they think of dua, they all look up, they go to the books on dua, which is fine, and look at what did the Prophet ﷺ say. It's not wrong. The best du'as are the ones the Prophet made, obviously. He knows the language, Arabic the best, he knows the deen the best, he knows Allah the best, he knows Ramadan the best. He has beautiful du'as on every topic, so there's nothing wrong with that. But are you allowed to make a dua in your own language, in your own words, about whatever you want? Yes. Also, and I know you guys know this, but it's a reminder, maybe one person didn't know this, something else. Some people think that when you make dua, it's got to be something religious. And what does that even mean? Like, it has to be a dua about akhirah and day of judgment and forgiveness and mercy and my sins, and those are obviously beautiful du'as. But can it be about that grade and that teacher and that professor is giving you a hard time and that friend that gives you whatever and the person that doesn't respond when you text them and this thing that's annoying you and this pet peeve you have and this homework and this project that you're afraid of? And how about the girl that you like or the guy that you like? Or how about the parents that are giving you a hard time? Or whatever it is that's, you're trying to make the football team, you're trying to make the basketball team, whatever it is that's in your mind, and you might think that's small and Allah wouldn't really care, or like, is that even polite to ask about that, or is that even a priority, or is that even religious, or is it okay for me to... All of that. All the above, not or, and. Make dua for all those things. How about you're a guy and you're like, man, it's kind of hard to be a guy these days. I'm looking at all these guys on social media that have the nice car and the nice house and whatever. I really like to make a good amount of money because I want to start a family, I want to get married. Is it wrong to ask Allah to make you rich? No, it's not. Ask Allah to give it to you if it's best for you, because some people, they get rich, they end up committing more sins and then it didn't really help you, which is why some people are purposely, Allah makes keeps some people poor, and it's actually because He loves them. It's kind of hard to get that level of spirituality where you realize that wisdom and you accept that you're poor or not famous or whatever it is that you want, you don't get it. But the reality is that Allah knows what's best for us. He knows us better than we know ourselves. Allah has the picture, and we have the pixel. One of my favorite quotes. I think I'm good from my end, but how about Q&A? Or comments, questions, concerns? Yeah. How was that? Was that okay? Something beneficial? Yeah, okay, of course, it was an honor. Questions, comments, concerns, discussion? I don't have all the answers, but if I know.
What's the biggest thing you abstained from during the last 10 minutes? You're like, I don't do this.
So you're saying Abdullah, or you're saying like we should not?
Yeah, I mean you. Yeah, you can help me.
Let me think about it, give me a second. The biggest thing, like my biggest goal for like the last 10 minutes? I don't know. Besides food and water, right? It's a good point. I'm trying to think of one thing. I don't know if I have one thing, but I mean, it's already been like 20 days of Ramadan, so hopefully you knew this before Ramadan, and hopefully you knew this years ago. But in case someone didn't, again, maybe one person didn't know this, maybe some of you aren't like, maybe some of you, it's the first Ramadan, they take it seriously. Every Ramadan, there's people that's their first time they take it seriously. I want to remind you of this, and you've probably heard this in every khutbah for the last few Fridays, but Ramadan's about what you consume. It's not just food and water. What else is it? Just indirectly answering your question. What else is it about? It's not just food and water. You're supposed to abstain from.
Like media, like TV.
One thing, TV.
Social media.
Social media. So you can't be on social. I've been active on social media throughout Ramadan. Is that haram? Breaks your fast?
No, it just depends on what you.
Depends on?
Depends on.
No. We'll go in a circle. Give me a second.
Like what's your
I'm trying to pick on you, but
watching?
this is important. Sometimes the details matter. Huh? Huh? What do you mean a second? Social media depends on what you're looking at.
What you watch, what you do.
I was going to say desire, but like,
Desire?
yeah. Like,
Is it possible to cut off your desires 100%?
no, but like,
Who's ever heard this? I'm not trying to pick on you, but this is we're all learning, yeah? Who's ever heard this before? Oh, you guys have heard the word tazkiyah or amal al-qulub or spiritual, like, so our deen is like knowledge, spirituality, activism. Like the big, if you zoom out, 3 different areas of personal development. Now that could be its own topic, but anyway, knowledge, spirituality, activism. And Muslims around the world, if you think about it, those who are practicing, usually prioritize one or the other. I'm not going to use labels and names and get political, but some groups are focused on fatwas and research and answering questions and khutbahs and durus and halaqat and ijazas. Others focus on spirituality. It's about your relationship with other and good character and mannerisms and the heart and finance and where you get your money from and what clothes you wear. Others focus on activism, right? Like civil rights and lobbying in America and like in media and like protests and all that, right? People kind of usually they're all part of our deen. I went on a tangent. What were we trying to say? What was the? Why did I get into?
desires and then
Yeah.
said-
But have you guys ever heard this term or something along this line? As a Muslim, you need to cut off your desires, or you need to destroy your ego. Who's heard that? Destroy your ego. You need to crush your ego. You guys heard that?
Yes.
Have you heard this? It's not completely wrong because like maybe it's a bad translation, or maybe the person like has good intentions but they're not using the right word. But it's not correct. It's not technically correct either, and it can hurt people because they be like, I still have an ego. I still have desire. I'm a bad Muslim. It's not correct. It's to curb your ego, curb your desires. It's to try to be in control of them. It's like a horse. You're trying to ride it, and you can't like. The horse is his own creature. It has his own heart and mind and brain. Maybe like 100% control, but you try to like, you definitely can lose. Like the horse is running off and you have no idea. And you don't have to fall off, right? That's the analogy people use of, like scholars use of like, your nafs, right? You don't want to be like if someone who's like clubbing every Friday, Saturday, or even drinking throughout the week and they're supposed to be in school, their parents dropped them off in college, and they're part of a frat and they're partying throughout the week. That's someone who like they've lost control, right? So and may Allah guide everybody, obviously not judging the person, but we don't want to be that person. And as a Muslim, you get more sins than them if you did any of that stuff because you know it. They don't necessarily know, right? But it's about curbing your. But that same desire, that frat guy, just to give you an example, that frat guy on campus that's like sleeping with different girls and drinking and partying, whatever that. Us Muslim guys, we're not that different biologically, as in our needs and our desires and so on. It's not that different. But we're trying our best to curb those desires. And if you fall into it, they can ask Allah for forgiveness. But crushing your ego, crushing your desires is not, if you set that as the goal, you use those terms, you're gonna beat yourself up and the shaitan can win. He can convince you, you've been trying for years, you never crushed your ego, you never crushed all your desires, you still have them, you're a bad Muslim, why even try? Just give up. Does that make sense? It can be dangerous, so I wanted to clarify that. Your desires never go away. I've asked all my teachers, we're all adults here, I'm just gonna be explicit, I'm gonna be direct, because I think it's benefits this. I one time asked one of my teachers that's like in the 60s and 70s, like elderly, right? And I was like early 20s. I was like, as a guy, like, you like girls, etc. I'm like, does this ever go away? He said, yo, we're 70, it never goes away. I was like, okay, I just wanted to know that as a young man. I was like younger, I was like in my early 20s. But I also know this guy's like super on point. This guy's character, man, his discipline is like next level. He's one of the top scholars in America. He's actually Umar Sullivan's teacher and mentor, so you can only imagine. Umar Sullivan picked him to be his teacher and mentor. He's not famous, but he knows his knowledge and character is like on point. I asked him this particular question among many questions. The point is, I don't went on a tangent, but we're also in college. I think this could be a benefit to someone. Your desires won't go away, and it's not evil to have those desires. Have those thoughts. You get sins for those thoughts. What if you're a Muslim girl and you walk on campus and you see a good-looking guy? He's jacked, he's buff, he's whatever you like. If your height is your thing, a certain skin color, tone, jaw structure, place closes up or?
What's that? Yeah, it's closed at 10:30.
10:30?
Not time 10 o'clock, so you have 30 minutes.
Okay, well.
But housekeeping and cleaning the room. So I need you guys.
How about 15 minutes and we'll be back there in the room, okay?
No, housekeeping need to get now. Yeah.
You got it? We can still stay. But if you have your backpack or something, you gotta get it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's a tangent, but crushing your ego, your desires don't go away. And if you are a Muslim girl on campus and you see a guy walking by and you start thinking things and don't beat yourself up and think that you're sinful for that thought. You're not. It's what you do about it. And in fact, if you fight that, you get good deeds. But yeah, going back, what was the actual? Yeah, it was about things you need to fight during Ramadan. Was there other examples? Social media, music, I don't know, something like what you hear, what you look at, eating, drinking, and then what did you say?
I said media, but also
Media,
the way
TV,
that you
social
talk.
media. Who watches TV anymore? I haven't seen a TV in years. Oh, the World Cup, we watch TV. YouTube is the new TV and podcasts are the new radio, but yeah, same thing. What else? We don't have to go around the whole circle. Things that we should try to. Fasting. The question was Ramadan's not just about not just about food and water. What else is it about? There's more. There's a longer list. We didn't go through all of it. You gotta be loud. We can't hear you. Who you put yourself? Yeah, environment. 100%. Excellent example. Because what you consume is what you listen to, what you look at, who you're around, what you talk, what you say. Gossip, lying, cheating. Okay, I said it. What else? I think that was my list. Ooh, let's see if someone can come up with something I didn't come up with. Anything else? What you say, who you're around, what you talk about, what you look at, what you listen to. Basically all your senses. And of course what you eat and drink. It's what you consume. And if anyone else has another example. Other questions, comments, concerns? Your demeanor, your attitude? You're making it tough now. I mean, I'm not in a good mood all the time. Yeah, but I mean, you try. It's kind of related to the other topic, because fighting desire, fighting to have a good attitude. How about fighting to think? It's related to 100%. Fighting to keep good thoughts and have good thoughts about Allah, even though things are not going your way. Okay, I'll leave you guys with this hadith. Well, unless there's other questions. One of my favorite hadiths. For the believer, but only for the believer. You might know this. This is a famous hadith. For the believer, but only for the believer. It's always good. Everything is good. How so? As a human being, it's always good days, bad days. It's natural. No one's ever had only good days. Let me give you a second. Let me go back to come back. I think this is good. Yo, that was good. That was a really good point. Can you guys hear me? Check this out. She said, we're talking about things you should fight in Ramadan and things you should aim to do. What you look at, what you listen to, where you go, lying, gossiping, all that. She said, she kind of challenged us. She said, how about your attitude and staying positive, which is really tough. There's a hadith that says that for the believer, it's all good. Because for a human being, it's always good days and bad days. No one's ever had only good days in their life. No one's ever been everything went their way. Every day either goes your way or doesn't, right? You got the job or you got a good grade, you didn't get a good grade. Your friends responded, they didn't respond. The guy likes you back, whatever. For a believer, only for the believer, the Prophet says, when things are good, that good day, you're grateful. Or if it's you made money, you're generous, right? So it's part of being grateful. When it's a bad day, they're what? It's you're grateful and you're ungrateful. When things are going your way, you're grateful. When things are not going your way, you're, starts with a P. You're patient. And then which case? It's all good. Every day is a good day. You're either grateful or patient. They're both tests. When things are going your way, it's actually a test from Allah. It's not really good. It's neutral. It's what you do about it. When things are not going your way, it's an opportunity. It's a test. It's neutral. We see it as good. That's our interpretation of good days, bad days. From Allah's perspective and how He sees it, every day is a good day. Everything is for a reason. It's a purpose. There's purpose in the pain. But yeah, if you're able, you try your best. If you're grateful, patient, all those days count for you. On the day of judgment, it's gonna be good. It's ajiban yamrul mu'min. The ayah says. The Prophet is like, man, it's amazing. The state of the believer, it's amazing. It's all good. That's impressive. But only for the believer. It's a hadith. You can look it up. Other questions, comments, concerns? You guys gotta go. Kifaya? You guys are tired, sleepy, hungry. More kanafa, more dessert. Round 2. Questions, comments. I'm chilling though. I'm here till my flight is tomorrow. I can't remember exactly, but not before Asr. I think Asr and Maghrib Isha, like it's late. So I'm also here throughout the day today. I don't have plans tomorrow yet, but I'll think of something. Anyone that wants my contact info, I think a few of them have it. I think Faris has it and she has it. And I don't know. You're free to anytime if you have questions. Anything else? That was good. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thanks.